tonight.
Better conditions of work for caregivers lead directly to better conditions of care for residents.
The Prime Minister visits Saskatoon to announce millions of dollars in funding to make Saskatchewan long-term care homes safer. Also, the latest developments out of Texas. Along with the 19 children and 2 adults killed, 17 people were hurt, including 3 law enforcement officers. Plus, a high school in Saskatoon is getting charged up and empowering students in a groundbreaking way.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, May 25th, and yes, dandelions already. The CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister made a multi-stop visit to Saskatoon today. There were plenty of photo ops and handshakes and a funding announcement. More than $30 million to make long-term care homes safer. Yasmin Correa has the details.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau visited a long-term care home in Saskatoon today. He sat down with residents who were making some colorful art.
What goes into the choice of colors that you pick today?
He then moved on to another table where seniors were planting flowers.
Do you want to get some done?
Done, yeah.
No.
All this while protesters heckled from outside. Trudeau was here to announce $32 million in federal funding for Saskatchewan long-term care homes. The Prime Minister says the money will go toward better infection control, including safer dining practices, increased cleaning and housekeeping, and staff safety protocols.
It's clear that better conditions of work for caregivers lead directly to better conditions of care for residents.
Saskatchewan Seniors Minister says the last 2 years have been difficult as the pandemic has raged on. He says restrictions and feelings of isolation have been particularly difficult for seniors, while protecting them from the virus has also been challenging.
We appreciate the federal government's support today for the work Saskatchewan has done to improve infection prevention and control measures in long-term care over the past couple of years.
The money announced today is part of $1 billion the federal government announced in 2020 in response to the pandemic. It's called the Safe Long-Term Care Fund. Saskatchewan is one of 9 provinces and territories to tap into the money so far. The provincial seniors minister says it will help offset costs incurred during the pandemic. Yasmin Correa, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Prime Minister's next stop was the U of S College of Agriculture and Bioresources. There he received a whirlwind lesson on plant breeding and technological advances, including the use of drones. Trudeau also learned about innovative farming practices.
When the pandemic hit and everyone had to hunker down, you sprung into action. You put aside your research projects and your long-standing responsibilities and focused on COVID-19 in extraordinary ways.
Justin Trudeau said thank you to vaccine researchers at Saskatoon's Vaccine and Infectious Diseases Organization. He toured the lab, but without cameras. Last year, Ottawa committed nearly $60 million to upgrade the facility to the highest level of security. Vito is also building a vaccine manufacturing plant. Trudeau's fourth and final stop was the Queen Elizabeth School Childcare Centre run by the Saskatoon Open Door Society. There he met with families to discuss early learning and childcare. Last year, Ottawa signed a deal with the provincial government to reduce how much parents pay for childcare fees. The goal is to achieve $10 a day licensed childcare in the next 3 to 4 years. Every week, the University of Saskatchewan releases new data on the viral load of COVID-19 in the city's wastewater. This week, it's up by 20% in Saskatoon. But with so many increases and decreases over the last few months, should people be concerned? For some context, we're joined by John Giese. He's a toxicologist and professor at the University of Saskatchewan. Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, let's just focus on Saskatoon just for time's sake. If I understand this correctly, while the viral load is up week over week, overall it's down. Can you help put the data in perspective?
Certainly. Things do vary a little bit from time to time, and we measure the absolute amount and relative amounts. So over the last 15 or 16 weeks, what we're measuring now is the third lowest number. So even though it's gone up a little bit this week, 20%, it's still overall trending down.
What is your detection limit? How many people need to be infected for the viral load to show up?
Good. That's a good question. Our best estimate is about 5 people in the city of Saskatoon. That varies a little bit depending on how much virus they're shedding and where they are in the cycle. But on average, it's about 5 individuals.
And then how do you compare that week to week in terms of increases and decreases?
So each week we make 3 measurements, and then those measurements are averaged. And what we compare is that average of 3 values week over week.
So how has your data been reflected in hospitalization numbers?
So right now, we don't have access to the most recent hospitalization data. But historically, when we have made that comparison, we get very, very good relationships. We can predict the hospitalizations by about 7 days. And we have very, very high confidence in that. Historically, we used to measure the new cases, but without monitoring now, we can't do that.
Let's talk about trends. How can you use the information you have right now to predict what's going to happen in the next few weeks?
So what we look at are what we call spline plots, which are moving averages. And I look at the status and trends. So what we're looking at now is we're expecting it to decrease next week. It's sort of slowing down, but we're getting near to our detection limit, which means there are fewer people infected in Saskatoon.
So overall, what's your biggest takeaway as you've been studying this viral load for weeks and weeks and weeks through the pandemic?
Well, we can generally predict pretty well what we expect. We can't always predict the magnitude, but when schools start up, we expect an increase when mandates are removed, and that's pretty much been the case over time. We're expecting now that the trend should stay low. It's summertime. Traditionally in the summer, things do decrease, and hopefully we're nearing the end of the overall trend. When it started, I thought it would take about 2 years, and we're just beyond that now. So hopefully we've reached the end of this particular cycle.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for your time and for your work.
Thanks, Sam. Nice chatting with you. Bye-bye.
John Giese is a toxicologist and professor at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon. More than 30 jobs are being cut in the Southeast Cornerstone School Division, including 21 teaching positions. The division covers an area from Ogama to Redvers and north to Rocanville. Its chief financial officer tells CBC the money in the provincial budget didn't cover rising costs, and that includes an increase in insurance premiums and bus repairs and parts. The result is a $2.5 million deficit, which is forcing the division to eliminate teaching and support staff. As a result, class sizes will increase on average by about 2 students. In a statement, the Ministry of Education says it has received the division's budget submission. It says it will work with all school divisions to review expenses and monitor the impact of proposed changes for classrooms. The City of Regina's Executive Committee has given the thumbs up for a new rebate program to retrofit buildings in the city. The proposed program would help the city achieve its goal of net zero emissions by 2050. The city will provide up to $5,000 to homeowners to match a similar federal program. The city believes 61,000 homes in Regina need to be retrofitted. That could include replacing windows and doors, improving insulation, or installing a more efficient heating system. But initial funding would only cover 80 homes this year. The proposed program still needs to be approved by City Council. A Saskatoon high school is getting charged up in a groundbreaking way. Bishop James Mahoney is home to a solar-paneled microgrid shaped like a flower. It's a first in Canada, and it will power the science program while empowering students.
The solar flower is a unique way of gathering energy from the sun with a set of solar panels that opens and closes depending on how bright and sunny it is. So at night it closes up and it cleans itself, and in the morning it looks at the sun and it opens itself back up, and if there's a storm coming and there's high winds, it also closes itself to protect itself. That's unique. Inside the pillar there is a battery system that gathers the energy when it's not in use and stores it in a battery. And then there's a set of wires going to the school, and inside a classroom there, the kids can look at what's going on, change the way that it operates by optimizing how it works between the draw and the generation and the storage, and they can plug things in and do their own school projects with it.
As we get it operational and now it's starting to power the classroom, we're really excited to start the conversation around alternative energy sources, thinking about the technology of how it works, integrating it into a lot of science curriculum.
Well, we know that green technology is going to be critical to Saskatchewan and to the world, and so we want to be on the forefront to really educate our young people about what it is, how important it is for climate change, and then be able to capture that, and then to be able to get them to learn about it.
This is the very first educational microgrid powered by a solar flower in Canada. And Saskatchewan was in the running against all the other provinces in the country to see who could put together a proposal to be able to get it past the finish line first, and we did. So this is unique in the country. It's also a model for what we're going to see now, I think, across the country and here in Saskatchewan.
It's a sure sign that summer is on the way. City of Regina spray pads are now officially open for the season. At least most of them are. Glen Elm, Regent, and Kinsman South are temporarily closed for maintenance. The water runs from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. until mid-September. As for the weather we'll have for playing outside, Ethan will have your forecast after the break. The cost of living is rising across the country, and it's not just that prices are going up, it's that consumers are also getting less. It's known as shrinkflation. Nisha Patel explains.
Kathleen Cassidy pays more attention to products and prices than the average shopper.
We're not seeing our money stretch as far as it used to. We have a lot of cleaners, soaps.
She's an extreme couponer. Her storage room is packed with deals she's found, which help her cope with soaring bills. Lately, she's noticed the price of some items are unchanged, but she's getting less.
I used to get 40 of this, now I only get 38. It is kind of difficult for the consumer.
It's known as shrinkflation, when manufacturers make products smaller but charge the same price.
The old size was 32 ounces. The new one, which is over here, is 28. So you lost over 12%. What did they do? They gave the bottle a little bit of a waistline.
Consumer watchdog Edgar Dworsky has found examples like this sports drink sold in the U.S. Other products he's found on American shelves include Sun-Made raisins, Dove body wash, and Cheerios cereal.
Paper products, candy, chips, snacks, cookies, all those things have been downsized multiple times over the years, and I don't think it's going to stop.
The reason? Some manufacturers would rather shrink the package than raise their prices.
Their costs are increasing, therefore the profits are going to decrease if they don't make any modifications.
To counter shrinkflation, shoppers should keep an eye out for changes to the size and shape of packaging and consider switching to cheaper generic brands that don't change as often. And instead of looking at the price of the whole item, focus on the price per milliliter or gram, which gives a more accurate cost.
The best thing we have is looking at the per unit price.
314 plus 1,000 followers.
Cassidy is already sharing her money-saving tips on TikTok.
Through clearance prices, getting physical coupons, using loyalty points.
Helping people cope even as prices rise and packages shrink. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. The exclusive export event is back.
And and Ethan William joins me now. I think we'll all be watching the size of sunscreen bottles as that warm sun gets warmer and warmer. It was so nice today, but then things got a little topsy-turvy this afternoon.
Yeah, we've had trouble getting through a day without some showers or storms popping up, and it happened again today. And in fact, it's still happening right now. We take a look at our satellite and radar. Some heavier showers and thunderstorms at the moment moving along the Yellowhead toward the Manitoba border, especially in the Yorkton area towards Salt Coats there. Other storms and showers popping up just northeast of Saskatoon, just kind of marching their way in a northeasterly direction here. All non-severe at this point, and they'll likely stay that way through the evening hours before we clear out tonight. But we look at tomorrow's thunderstorm risk. Most should be non-severe, but we are not ruling out the possibility of maybe some higher wind gusts and some small hail if they do pop up. This is a non-severe risk generally in a line from around La Loche in the far north down toward Yorkton. It includes places like Prince Albert and La Ronge as well. But temperatures right now quite nice. We're in the 20s in much of south and central part of the province. Regina right now sitting at 22, Saskatoon 21. A little warmer in Moose Jaw and Hudson Bay at 24. And cool spot right now in around Yorkton and Wynyard sitting at 18. Now, for the next few days, we are going to see that nice warm pattern continue, some warmer temperatures with us, this upper atmosphere bringing us this nice broad ridge here, but it's at the surface level that we're going to be seeing some action with our sky conditions. Starting tonight, we'll see these showers and thunderstorms die down. Overnight, we'll probably get some clearing conditions. And as we head through tomorrow, there's that possible line of showers and thunderstorms again through central and northern Saskatchewan. But then we watch this system moving up from the U.S. And this is not going to bring too much rain, but maybe anywhere between 3 and 5 millimeters for places like Regina and Saskatoon. And then that works its way out as we head through the end of the week. Now, wind gusts won't be too much of a factor. We had some pretty strong gusts today, a gust of 65 kilometers an hour at Regina's airport around 1 o'clock this afternoon. But we will see those die down. And through the day tomorrow, they will be not too bad. And then as we get to Friday and that system starts to move in, we'll see them pick up in the southwest corner, but everyone else enjoying some nice calmer conditions. Now, all of this nice warm weather, sunny weather, and the windy conditions are not great for our forest fire danger. We're looking at extreme risks now in the southwestern and west central part of the province. The rest of us in the south are under that high risk, but still for central and northern Saskatchewan, generally a lower risk, which is good news. Now, our extended forecast in Regina shows a high of 26 tomorrow, mostly sunny conditions. That system moves in on Friday, not too much in the form of rain at this point. Saturday's nice, but then our temperatures take a bit of a tumble as we head through the end of the weekend and into next week. 40% chance of showers on Sunday, and we'll get really cool on Tuesday. That's about 10 to 15 degrees colder or colder than we should be this time of year. Saskatoon, we're looking at a high of 24 tomorrow with a mix of sun and cloud. Rain will be a little bit heavier for you, I think, on Friday. You'll see those showers linger through the weekend. And Sam, I think that is summer, and this is back to fall. So I hope you enjoyed it while it lasted.
I was going to point at the positive of the overnight lows that are all above zero now.
That's a good sign, right? No more frost, maybe?
I will find the silver lining if I have to, Ethan.
I like it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, a big celebration calls for a big coin. Here is a look at the coin the Britain's Royal Mint produced to honor Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee. It weighs a whopping 15 kilograms and is 220 millimeters in diameter. The coin is crafted with fine gold and worth nearly $25,000 Canadian. On one side, it depicts the monarch on horseback, the other engraved with the royal cipher. We'll be back after the break. It's been a day of sadness, mourning, and anger across the United States. Many political leaders, including the president, are once again calling for stronger gun laws. Others continue to blame mental health issues for yesterday's mass shooting in Texas. Chris Reyes has the latest.
In Uvalde, Texas, a community overwhelmed with grief. Parents and loved ones waited overnight for updates. At a nearby civic center, many remain.
Evil swept across Uvalde yesterday.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott shared new details about the investigation in the aftermath of Tuesday afternoon's deadly shooting at Robb Elementary School. Police say the gunman barricaded himself in one classroom, then opened fire. All the victims were part of the same fourth grade class, the children aged 7 to 10 years old.
The first thing that happened was that the gunman shot his grandmother in the face. She then contacted police. The gunman fled, and as he was fleeing, he had an accident just outside of the elementary school, and he ran into the school.
The suspect, who has been identified as Salvador Ramos, was shot and killed by authorities. Ramos was armed with an AR-15. Officials say he posted on Facebook 30 minutes before the shooting, declaring his intentions.
He was dropped out of school. He had no criminal history that we've been able to find or detect at this particular point. He lived with his grandmother, Celia, who is 66 years old.
The grandmother remains in hospital. Police are collecting DNA to help identify victims.
Yeah, it is very hard. I can't imagine going through that with one of my grandkids. My heart is broken for the parents here in Uvalde. It's never thought something like this would happen in a small town and friendly as Uvalde.
The deadly shooting happened just 2 days before summer break. The school superintendent praised the teachers for cradling kids during the attack and guiding them to safety.
They did heroic things yesterday, and they are always very humble, but they are truly humble heroes.
Police said all the victims of the shooting have now been identified and all parents have been notified about their children. Police have yet to release any details on the possible motive behind the attack. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
There are fresh calls today for British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to step down after the damning release of a report into staff parties held at his official residence during COVID-19 lockdowns. Johnson took full responsibility but would not resign.
I am confident with the changes and new structures that are now in place, that we are humbled by the experience, and we have learned our lesson.
The investigation covered 16 gatherings attended by Johnson and his staff while UK residents were banned from socializing. It revealed one party included excessive alcohol consumption and a minor altercation between two people. The report says senior leadership in Johnson's government must bear responsibility for the culture that allowed the events to take place, while the rest of the country was under stringent pandemic restrictions. And Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather. Give me a silver lining.
There will be a silver lining, Sam. The winds are going to die down and the thunderstorm threat is going to end, which is good. We'll be at 14 at midnight. Southwest winds only gusting to around 18 kilometers an hour. Clouds clear by the time we get to 8 a.m. We're already at 16 degrees, but they'll build back in a little bit as we head to the noon hour. We're at 25 already, on our way to a high of 26 tomorrow. Winds shouldn't be too bad, gusting under 30 kilometers an hour. In Saskatoon, we're at 12 at midnight, mainly clear conditions. We will also get clearing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll be at 13 degrees, nice light northwest winds, and that sun will stay with us. No cloud needed in Saskatoon, 21, and sunny conditions, Sam, as we head toward a high of 24.
A sunscreen kind of Thursday. Thanks, Ethan.
Yes, you're welcome.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Up next, Colorado could eliminate St. Louis in Game 5 of the second round of the NHL playoffs. Glenn Reed will be back with more local news at 11. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night and enjoy the game.